So today's film is part of TIFF's commitment to engage youth in festival programming. So it's been selected for the next generation of film lovers by the TIFF Next Wave Committee. Thank you, TIFF Next Wave. This Next Wave Committee is supported by the Slate Family Foundation Learning Fund, and as well supported by the City of Toronto and Ontario Arts Council. Also a reminder, the film is eligible for the Girls People's Choice Award. Vote online at tiff.net/vote. And a big thank you to Endeavour Content, Protagonist Pictures for providing us with this film, and the British Film Council for their generous support. Thank you very much. So I'm really excited to be presenting this film. It's about a very entrepreneurial girl. The filmmaker is here with us today. Coky Giedroyc, please welcome her. Thank you.
Thank you. It's amazing to be here. It's the best city to put this little film out into and to send it into the world. I love Toronto. Thank you, TIFF, for inviting us. I just want to introduce some people to come in on stage with me. Firstly, Beanie Feldstein. I have to say, guys, I love Beanie, and it's not in a showbiz way. I really love Beanie.
I love you too. I also almost fell on the way out, which is perfect for this.
Next person, Beanie plays Johanna in the film. Johanna's romantic love of her life is played by Alfie Allen, who's here.
Thank you, guys. Oh, bloody hell. Thank you, guys. Very, very excited for you all to see this because it's amazing.
Next up, one, but she could be two. One indomitable woman, the woman whose story is the basis of this film and whose wit and incredible just brightness and brilliance is behind every single line in it. Caitlin Moran.
So lovely to see you here. I'm so sorry you're about to watch the adventures of me being a teenage lady sex pirate. I hope you're not faint of heart. I was certainly not faint of vagina when I lived through these experiences.
And finally, two amazing women who have been fighting for this film and backing me up and gave me the gig in the first place. Two incredible women, Alison Owen and Bonnie Chance Roberts.
Give me that mic before I know what I'm going to say next.
So we are all going to be back for the Q&A. Thank you to all of you. Thank you. This is a world premiere. We're very excited. Enjoy the film.
Thank you for staying for the Q&A. I'm Adam Cook, Programming Associate for TIFF. Just a reminder to raise your hands if you have a question. I will repeat it, or try to as best as I can, so that everyone in the cinema can hear. Now, please join me in welcoming back to the stage, Coky Giedroyc.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome on the stage Beanie Feldstein. And wow. Great. You deserve it. And next on stage is Alfie Allen. And last on stage, Caitlin Moran.
Before we open it up to the audience, Caitlin, I'd like to start with you, considering the story begins with you. Could you talk about the experience of writing the screenplay, adapting your story, and bringing it to the screen?
Well, first of all, can I say it's much more fun watching it with Alfie and Beanie in it than it was to live through it. Like, kind of, I've just really enjoyed the last 90 minutes in the way that I didn't enjoy the 2 years that film is set over. Yeah, I mean, when I wrote the book, the idea was that I wanted to tell stories about... I was just tired of seeing girls who were punished by the world. I was sad about seeing girls in films being bumped over some bins in an alleyway and just being kind of tortured by the world a bit. Like, kind of, you know, I love dystopian fiction as much as the next person, but one of the biggest sort of genres has been teenage girls who have to save the world, literally, rather than just what you should be doing in your teenage years, which is working out what bra looks best, working out how your hair looks best, and getting off with some boys. So that was the idea behind the film, behind the book, and then adapting it was just basically writing down a list of things that I wanted to see a brilliant girl do on screen. And thankfully, when we found Beanie, just being able to watch you do all that stuff, like, it's literally a tick list of my favourite things that I've ever seen, one after another. Thank you so much. Sorry, my heart is racing.
And Coky, what was it like to help bring the story to the screen and try and do it justice?
It was an amazing journey. We spent a year and a half in a kitchen basement with Bonnie, who's our co-producer, wrangling the script and I guess finding a story that dances that very delicate line between being really funny, which Caitlin does in bucket loads, and also telling a sort of gentle and emotional understory, really, because I felt that it sort of deserved both, really.
Yeah, Coky was very good at that, and Bonnie. Like, I just want to make clown jokes all day long. I'm just here for vagina-based lols. And they kept going, that's great, but we will need to have a story, we will need to have drama, we need to have ebbs and flows. And I was like, how about if it was just someone going, ha, for an hour and a half? And I'm like, no, there needs to be nuance, we need to go on a journey. So that was the collaborative effort that we did. That was how we worked as a team.
Yeah. Caitlin's the really, really funny, loud one, and I'm the really grumpy, quiet one.
And that's why it worked so well.
It worked okay.
As an actor, Beanie, I'm curious about what it was like preparing for the role when you're playing someone that you've met and telling their story.
Well, I'm from Los Angeles, so the first battle obviously was the Wolverhampton accent. The West Midlands is a place I know very well and love very much now. Sorry, I'm really like, shaky. But honestly, there was so much in the script and so much that Coky and I talked about before we started filming that we wanted to bring to light. But it was also just, she has a magnetic optimism, Johanna Morgan, and I just really, whenever I was faltering, I just sort of went back to that, and that's sort of her baseline, no matter what hate-filled things she's saying about Joni Mitchell or Paul Simon, she is that girl underneath it all. And it's not really the story of two girls, it's the story of one girl trying to make herself into another and coming back. So I think for preparation, well, I went to Wolverhampton for about 2-ish weeks, and I worked in a store in Wolverhampton, and I had to speak in the accent the entire time I was working in the store. And the first week, I did not fool anybody. And then by the end of the second week, with a lot of help from the fellow girls that I was working with, they would yell at me when I got something wrong. By the end of the week, I felt, much more comfortable. But it's a beast of a film. It's the best, most glorious thing I've ever gotten to play, and I'm so moved and happy to be here.
Alfie, you bring such a sensitive touch to this character. It's not the sort of typical rocker guy I think you'd expect in this kind of story. Could you talk about your approach?
I'm just trying to keep it together, you know. I don't really, you know, I don't really kind of have a process, but I just, just kind of concentrated on the accent, listened to a lot of the music that John Kite listened to, and yeah, I'm just so proud to be part of such an honest project. It's just so beautiful, and it's just, I couldn't be happier, man. It's the first time I've seen it, so I'm trying to keep it together myself at the moment.
I'm sure we have some questions in the audience. Let's go front row, yeah.
Hi, everyone. My question is, like your character, for everybody, especially me, but like your character who has a wall of those she admires, who would be on yours?
Oh, who would be on
On your
their
God
own
wall.
personal
Yeah.
wall of admired figures? Okay.
That's such a good
To
question.
each of you, I guess.
David Bowie.
I actually asked our crew this question, and it was such a fun, quest to see what people would answer. Mine would be Carole King, Barbra Streisand, Sondheim, and my mom.
Thierry Henry.
Well, I kind of don't need to answer that because that was my God wall. Like we had, that was literally, and I love if you go into any teenage girl's room and you see all the things that she has on her wall, that is where we build ourselves when we're teenagers. That is what you intend to be. That is the inside of your head. And that's why they talk to her, that, the heroes that you have, then you start having them as little golems in your head giving you advice. Sometimes the advice is very bad. Sometimes the advice is good, but that is how you start to build yourself and your personality. You look at your heroes and go, okay, I've got something to vaguely aim for now. Generally my biggest role model when I was a child was Miss Piggy, which you can't go far wrong with really, but otherwise it was everyone who was on that wall. We couldn't get Miss Piggy for clearance rights. We tried very hard. It's very expensive to get Piggy. She's very, very expensive.
It's true.
And that's why I love her. She's a fucking classy bitch. You have to pay for Piggy.
Yes, go ahead. So the question is not just about this role, but in general, do you take something away and learn something about yourself through playing these characters?
Absolutely, you always do. I think what I learned from playing Johanna and through Caitlin's writing is Caitlin so beautifully extends a hand to people, saying, I'm giving you permission to mess up, and I'm giving you permission to explore something and change, and then maybe come back to where you started and change again and put those pieces back together in a different way. And that moved me so deeply, and I think that kind of permeates my life all the time now. But I think the biggest lesson I learned from Johanna was bravery. I never considered myself a brave person, but after filming some of those scenes, I was like, I'm a Gryffindor now. Yeah, I thought I was a Ravenclaw, but I'm a Gryffindor for sure.
Yes, go ahead.
Do you plan on releasing this to like mainstream theaters? Because I think many girls could benefit from seeing this.
We
Question
absolutely.
is about plans for the release.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. From the moment we started on this project, our ambition was to go as wide and as broad as possible. And it's a film that's, not just for 16-year-old girls. It's for anyone who's been 16. It's for anyone who has a 16-year-old kid, male, female. I think it's about just anyone who's been in that position where they just mess up and make some bad choices, and it's kind of a story that tells you that it's going to be okay, that you can re-ravel yourself once it's all unraveled, and it's going to be good.
Well, also, I don't know if anybody noticed the massive metaphor that is at the centre of this, but when I wrote the book, the whole idea was that when I was a teenage music journalist, being able to write in a national magazine and express my horrible views to a large readership was something that not many 16-year-old girls could do. It was only if you were a music journalist and you got a role on paper. Now, because we have the internet and social media, every 16-year-old in the world can go out and tell their opinions. And what tends to happen is the story that we saw there. When you go on social media, you start off being nice and fluffy, and then someone attacks you, someone says that you've got fat feet, they don't like your face, and you become angry, and you start to become cynical and more darker, and you turn into a bit of an attack dog. And the thing about being cynical is it's a shell that you put on when you're young in order to cover up the fact that you are innocent and hopeful and optimistic, because those are underrated things on social media in an adult life. But the thing is that once you put on that shell of cynicism, after a while, you can't move in that cynicism. You're trapped. It becomes like a suit of armor that used to protect you, but now confines you. You can't dance, you can't grow. And at some point, when you start communicating with the world, you realize you have to stop being cynical. You know, you have to stop attacking people, and you have to go back to being optimistic and joyful again. The best thing you can do in the world is just point at things that you love and go, I love this. You don't need to deal with the things that you hate. You just point at the things that you like and go, that's more of this, less of that, more of this. And that's the journey that I put Johanna on, and the journey that we will all have gone through on social media at some point and in our lives. You can't be horrible for too long. You have to then compile a list of everybody you've slagged off and really arduously ring them up one by one.
Are there any questions in the balcony? I don't want to neglect you guys. Oh, there we go. Yes.
What are the ways for women on stage that you see Johanna in yourself?
What are the ways you see Johanna in yourself? Fine. Let's start with Alfie.
Alfie's going to answer that one.
Repeat the question.
What parts of Johanna do you see in yourself?
Parts of Johanna do I see myself?
It was intended for the women on stage, but I think...
Let's all answer it.
Let's all answer it, yeah. I would say that she is fearless. And I would say I'm definitely quite fearless sometimes.
See, I've written the sequel to this, How to Be Famous, and I know that there's a part of Alfie's character that actually goes into Beanie's character in the next one, so because they end up having sex, so it feels like a bit of a trick question to me. Sorry, that was a spoiler there, but...
I definitely relate to that kind of sort of moment of, I don't know who I am and where I'm going to fit in, and will it all be all right? Definitely. That's the bit that I relate to. And I just love the ending because it kind of, every time it catches me and tells me that actually it is going to be fine.
She loves the world, and I think you see it so beautifully in her relationship with her dad reflected, but I love the world too. And even when things are, difficult or tough or they don't go your way, she still is ruthlessly, endlessly optimistic, and I think we share that.
We have time for just one last question.
Can
Yes.
I request that the person who brought a dog, has their dog got a question? Because I would love to know what questions dogs have for... I love that you brought your dog. Yeah. Did he fall in love with the dog? Is that what's happening now? Yeah.
You don't want Bianca.
No,
she
Bianca.
does not behave.
No. Bianca was a diva.
Yes.
She should have been sacked. Oh, thank you.
I guess my question is, I adored the soundtrack, and given sort of this exploration of yourself as a writer and writing about rock music, can you talk a little bit about how you felt the soundtrack for the film? And I'd love to know, with each of you, is there like songs on the soundtrack that you particularly love and are excited about?
So the question is about putting together the soundtrack for the film, and if each of you have a song that's included that is special to you.
Caitlin is the
Yeah, so
expert.
I was that rock critic, so when I wrote the script, we just had a list of all the songs that we wanted in it, big key moments. I don't know, I really like the song. There was one new original song on it, Girlie's song at the end, How to Build a Girl, which when I heard it, I was so happy. I was like, it's literally, she just writes a list of everything you need to be a girl. So obviously I love all the old stuff, that's from my era, but the new song, I was like, wow, there's a new generation of pop stars, because we didn't really have any female pop stars when I was growing up. And suddenly, girls are ruling the music industry. They're, the most exciting music that's being made at the moment is by girls. And so having this new song, it was like, yep, finally, the matriarchy is about to take over.
Caitlin, you talked about songs that should have been hits in the 90s. We got a couple of those in there, didn't we?
Yes,
Which
yeah.
were they?
Well, I was a big Manic Street Preachers fan, so it was very exciting having them in there. But yeah, it's basically my compilation tape from 1993 in a movie. Hurrah!
My big one was Push It, Salt and Pepper.
Yes. Oh yeah, God, yeah.
My favorite's Alfie's song.
Oh, yes.
Would you say? So
Yes.
So Alfie sang that. That was his, so. First of all, that song
Well,
is written
both.
by Guy Garvey from Elbow. I rang Guy Garvey from Elbow and said, "We need a song for John Kite to sing. Like, kind of, can you write us one?" And he wrote us that in a day. And Alfie's first day on set was singing that a cappella in front of 1,000 people. It's like.
Thank you.
And the second song when in the sad scene where she's cutting herself, that's Alfie as well, which is unplugged at the beginning. I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it too.
Oh, good.
And
So,
Alfie,
more
do you?
musicals for Alfie, I'm saying. I would like to see you in more musicals. This feels like this could be your
Open to
future.
that. I'm open to that. Album coming out soon.
Yes.
Well, on behalf of myself, Tiff, and everyone here, thank you so much for bringing
Thank
your
you
film
so
to
much
town.
for having us.
Don't forget to vote for the People's Choice Award at tiff.net/vote and enjoy the rest of the festival.